Hi, I'm Josh Lambert, a product manager here at GitLab, and I'd like to talk about what we plan to do for the distribution group in our 13.10 release, which will be available on March 22nd, 2021. You can see here our planning issue for this release, and the high-level priorities haven't changed since our last release, really. So if you've looked at that, this will look familiar. We want to make sure we finish up anything that we started working on in 13.9. We want to make sure that anything that our GitLab.com needs to accomplish their goal of operating GitLab.com is met. Their kind of need to haves, for example. And then here we're also continuing to really focus on finishing up the last remaining items to support deploying GitLab on OpenShift in a beta fashion. So whatever it takes to get that kind of driven to closure, we're trying to make sure we have room for in this release. And then we actually think we're all done with the PG upgrade items, which is great. That was the PG 12 upgrade, which is essentially ready to be required in May. And then finally, of course, any nice to haves in production. We, of course, want to try and see if we can fit in as well. So that's the high level kind of main priorities. And let's talk a bit more about these in detail here. Again, this is a continuing theme. We want to be able to support customers and folks who want to deploy GitLab on OpenShift, GitLab the server. It's worth mentioning we already support the runner as of 13.7. And so this is particularly on the server side. The reason this is important is because there are folks who enterprise standard is OpenShift. And today, you have to have a lot of compromises that most folks aren't willing to do to run GitLab there. And so we want to be able to better support these folks and deploy GitLab there so that they can run it the way they want it to be ran. And this requires an operator in order to accomplish. And so the great benefit here is that not only are we addressing the need of potential customers on OpenShift, but we're also building the base core operator that we want to use for really going forward for all of our cloud native distributions of GitLab. So we have the Helm chart today, but we do see that evolving. The reason why is the Helm chart is kind of once and done. You do a Helm deploy or a Helm upgrade, and it does its thing, and then that's it. Its job is done. It stops. No further changes. Whereas the operator, for folks who might not be aware, is essentially a control plane that runs. And so we can have our own code, which looks at the state of GitLab as it's deployed and can take automatic operations to ensure it's healthy, to manage the upgrade process more closely than could necessarily be done with Helm. And so there's a lot of benefits here to automating more of the operations of GitLab and reducing the overall effort and investment and knowledge that customers need to have to run GitLab, period, but also in of course, in Kubernetes and OpenShift. So that's kind of the real future there. We see the operator eventually replacing the Helm chart going forward over time for these reasons of kind of making a better experience. So very excited about this. It's critical to our long-term strategy of deploying GitLab on cloud native and making sure it's really a great experience and better than what we had before with virtual machines. From there, we're also looking at doing a spike of what it would take to support officially Amazon Linux 2. We weren't quite aware of how much usage there was of this since we don't currently collect the Linux distribution as part of our overall telemetry package. And so it was a bit surprising when we deprecated CentOS 6 and all of a sudden we had a lot of customers complaining that we broke their Amazon Linux installation and then they could no longer upgrade. The reason is that inadvertently our installation script detected Amazon Linux 2 as CentOS 6. And so it just happened to work. And when we deprecated CentOS 6 because it was end of life upstream, this ended up removing an upgrade pathway for these customers on Amazon Linux 2. So in the current release 13.9, we did a spike and determined that actually the CentOS 7 package seems to work just fine. And we're making a change in the script so that it is detected as CentOS 7 and gets installed as such. And so we have an upgrade pathway for these folks. In 13.10 here, what we'd like to do is we would like to do a spike to see what it would take to officially support Amazon Linux 2. So that would be, we don't have these accidents or these unintended breakages that might happen in the future. So that's what this is about here in 13.10, since clearly we have a lot of folks who are interested in running it this way. From there, we're also continuing to address some of the known issues with running and installing GitLab on a FIPS-enabled system. You can see here we're actually addressing an issue in 13.9, and we're carrying forward to address an issue on CentOS 8 with FIPS as well. And this can help us better support customers who deploy GitLab there, but also it helps us to really kind of unblock some of our estimation and other exploratory work that we're undertaking for the broader FIPS compliance effort. No timelines there or any kind of guarantees. We're evaluating it, but we want to at least make sure we don't have these kind of known package installation problems. So from there, that is it for our kind of big highlighted themes for 13.10. We are really excited about this release, and we can't wait to have the beta release of OpenShift and our operator out there. That is super exciting, and just the amount of goodness that it will unlock for our customers in the future is, we're very excited about. So we hope you're excited too, and stay tuned next month for our 13.11 kickoff and learn about all the great things we're doing there. Thanks, and see you then.